There we go. So Gabor Mate. One of the things that he talks about in these books is the idea that the two primary needs that we have as children, besides obvious like food, water, shelter, that kind of thing, are our sense of attachment, attachment to our caregivers, the people that love us, that we love, but also a sense of authenticity. And how he describes authenticity is interesting to me. He talks about intuition and that our authenticity is being able to access our authentic self, which means trusting our instincts, being able to be in touch with our emotional states, being able to ask for what we need, knowing what our hopes and dreams are, recognizing what our likes and dislikes are, like really just knowing self in a lot of ways. And that a lot of times when our attachment, we will favor attachment over authenticity 100% of the time. So if we are threatened, if our attachment to those that we love is threatened, we will suppress our authenticity to ensure our connection, our attachment. And this can show up in the smallest of ways where, if you feel like, as a child, if you feel like you're going to be even simply be put in to a timeout because your behavior is bad, you get the message that I'm not lovable as I am. And so you repress that, whatever the temper tantrum was, or, whatever the action or emotional energy was, you'll suppress that in order to favor attachment, to stay connected to your parent or your caregiver. So, we through our lives, one of the things that happens, according to Gabor, is that we have this suppression of our authenticity, and then we wonder why we can't access our intuition and why we can't access like, what do I really need in this moment, or what do I want in this moment, or how do I feel, like what are my emotional states. And we can become kind of separated from ourselves in this way. And there's so much more, obviously, to it that he says. I recommend both books. I'm not through both books, but The Realm of the Hungry Ghost is all about addiction and how he worked for over a decade in the very drug addicted area, where people with a lot of drug addictions live in Vancouver. And he was the medical director of a clinic, multiple clinics there. And there's just so much to it. And the myth of normal is really about how our society is not a health producing society and what we can do about it. So, the takeaway so far that I'm getting is that we need to access our authenticity, and this will help us kind of heal from whatever traumatic states that we've experienced. And that's simplified. I'm simplifying. That's just one little aspect. But that is what leads me to yoga. When I think about accessing authenticity, I think about presence and how, when we are in our body, when we get to know our body, this is a very strong aspect of understanding our intuitive states and knowing our emotional states and even our physical states. And I'm sure you've experienced this, and people who have experienced this, where we're not in touch, even with our physical sensation, that we can kind of be on autopilot and we can be numb in our bodies. And our yoga practice is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to reconnect, to come into self, to grow that authenticity within us so that we have more access to ourselves. And this can only be a good thing, even if it's a hard thing. It can be a good thing. So let's remember to just have so much gratitude for all the ways our yoga practice supports us, not only feeling good physically, but to have this sense of connection with ourselves, and a carved out opportunity to really go in and pay attention to self. So much of our day is outward, where we're helping other people, or we're engaged with the world, moving outward, whereas our practice is this sanctuary of moving inward, which is such a necessary thing for us. All right, so let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall. and find a comfortable seat. And recognize that it doesn't really matter what you do in your practice. The poses are just there to cultivate this capacity within us. So modify anything at all. You could lie down for the whole practice and have a very, very present physical, emotional, spiritual practice. So let go of the expectation that the poses are the cure. The poses are the process, the journey to get us to the state of presence. All right, so close your eyes and let's drop in, bringing our attention and our awareness into your sense of self. All right, so as we drop into your body, let's start to discover our breathing. Let's start there. See what it feels like to just notice how the breath is today. The breath is a great kind of barometer or cueing to our emotional states, to our physical states. So if you do struggle with kind of identifying how you feel, get to know your breath and its moods, its rhythms. Let's see if we can give ourselves a slowing down, an opportunity to cultivate patience within the breath, to let our mind slow down enough to just follow the breath and pay attention to the sensation that we feel. Try not to, kind of skip over or trip over the breath. See if you can give lots of time for the inhale and the exhale to just find its way. You might notice that even with just a handful of breaths that you're paying attention to, that something's already shifting. Let's take a moment to kind of move through the koshas of the body. So not only paying attention to the prana body, the breath body, but let's also pay attention to your physical body. Is there anywhere when you just say, okay, what's happening in my body? Where do you go first? Where is sensation drawing your attention first? And just pay attention. What are you noticing? And try to have zero judgment about what you're finding. If you're finding discomfort, if you're finding comfort, if you're finding closed downness or spaciousness, whatever it is that you're accessing, just pay attention and notice. Be the witness of the body. And by witness, I don't just mean the mind looking at the body. I mean feeling, expressing, being within the sensations that you're observing. Maybe move a little deeper to recognize what the mind is doing. Does your mind feel separate from the body? Is your mind feeling impatient, or do you have a lot kind of right under the surface? Are you having judgments or a sense of open-mindedness? We'll go a little deeper into the emotional body. What are you sensing in your heart space or anywhere else in your body that feels like an emotional state that's living in your body? You can even ask yourself the question, how are you emotionally? How am I today? Give yourself a chance to take the lid off that suppression that we often do. And especially if it's a habituated state in you to suppress emotions, you're not going to get access to them in 5 seconds. Okay, so just the continual process of opening the lid and seeing what's there. The breath can help you. And then even deeper, can you touch that Anahata chakra, that sense of, the Anandamaya kosha, that bliss body, the state of connection that we have. Imagine if there was no hurt and no harm having been done or to or from you. What is that state underlying all the challenge? Is there a purity of heart? And in that place, can you cultivate a connection to the world? It might be to your loved ones, to your animals, to the nature that's outside, the birds that are chirping this morning, and you can extend it as far as you'd like. Feel ready. Let's place our hands and any bit of the authentic self that you've accessed, mind, body, or spirit. Let's just see what the intention of that place within you is today. What is needed? Release your hands and find your way onto your back. All right. So again, modifying anything and everything that you need to in your practice today. If you're feeling low on energy, maybe you need some calmer practices. If you're feeling anxious and you need to kind of get your yayas out and move some energy in your body, maybe you need to do a little more vigorous practice. So just kind of assess yourself and adapt moment by moment as we move. So as you stretch your arms overhead, enjoy what this feels like to have some length and space in your body, reaching one side, reaching another, and just enjoy what your side bodies feel. When you're ready, draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a little bit of a hug. Okay, you can rock a little bit, swaying from side to side if that feels nice. Well, let's hang on to the knees and circle a little bit here. So you just sense into a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of ease. And roll the knees the other way. Finding breath. And then let's open up the knees away from the middle and bring them back in towards. So you just get this nice range of motion in your hip joints. And then pause, find a spot with your knees fairly wide and just pause out there holding your knees so that you just kind of get to the end range of that abduction and a little bit of external rotation. And then move your knees just maybe in a 3 or 4 inch range. So you just kind of touch that edge range of your hip joint. I'm going to get into that a little bit today. All right, draw the knees back into the chest, right knee into your chest, stretch your left leg long on the ground, and let's roll around in your ankles. So enjoy some movement. Feel a sense of heaviness through your skull, let your neck and shoulders relax. Okay, good squeeze. Now let's take a twist here. Take your right knee, cross it over to the left, and open up across your chest.
Don't, just go as far as you want in this twist. There's no reason why you have to have your biggest twist right now. But just opening up the spine and taking an opportunity to open your shoulder. Maybe you want to slide your arm around and just kind of sense what's happening in your pecs and your shoulder joint. All right, come back up, give that knee a good squeeze, pick up your head, tuck in, and then release that leg on the ground, and let's switch sides. Left knee into your chest, right leg long on the ground, and let's move around in your ankles again. Wiggle your toes, enjoy your bare feet. Okay, maybe some flexes and points. Just see what feels nice. And again, when you feel sensation, you're gaining trust within yourself. You're gaining awareness and a sense of embodiment, coming home to know yourself just by simply wiggling your toes. It's an act of presence, of bringing yourself here and now embodied. Okay, let's take the knee and cross it over to the other side. And the little twist here, doesn't matter how deep you go, make your breath big and deep, and feel free to slide around in your arm on this side. So kind of just getting to know that shoulder joint a little bit, noticing the spinal twist that's here. How is your breath? Okay. And then draw that knee back into the chest, wiggling your toes. Give your knee a little hug, a big squeeze in, and then stretch your limbs really wide, opening up to a star on the ground. Exhale, knees draw into your chest, round the spine. Let's do that one more time. A big full breath, open your body. And as you exhale, draw your knees and let your back open up. Pull your feet into a happy baby pose. You can always hold behind your knees. Maybe a little bit of rocking here, kind of swaying from side to side, letting your back open up. Compress your knees down toward the ground. And then we're gonna straighten-ish or all the way, one leg at a time. So stretch your left leg, holding on to your foot. You can tip a little to that side, just getting that inner hamstring to open up a little bit. And then let's bend the left knee and open up the right side, straightening that leg, holding your foot or your leg somewhere if you can't reach your foot. And then just go back one more time to the left. Feel free to tip a little bit to the left if you'd like. Nice and gentle in this opening of the inner thighs and opening of the inner hamstrings over to the other side. And go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Hug in. One more time. A big star on the ground. And exhale. Draw your knees into your chest. Let's just warm up your hips a little bit. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Maybe some pulsing feels good, of just kind of pulsing your knees toward your chest. Maybe a little bit of rocking feels nice. Maybe a little circling. Maybe stillness. Remember that your head does not have to do any work right now. So let your head and shoulders relax a little bit. Take a deep breath to just open up into that hip joint. And then slide your right foot onto your left knee for a reverse pigeon pose. And again, maybe you want to be doing some movement in that hip joint of opening up with some circles. Maybe you want to be very still. So just kind of find what is intuitively best for you. One of my favorite things about yoga is that it gives you an opportunity to flex your intuitive muscles. When you get to decide, oh, this feels good in my body, this doesn't feel good in my body, this makes me feel free, this doesn't, this is what's right in this moment, this is what's not right in this moment. Start to learn to trust yourself. Okay, open the legs up, one more star, stretching wide. Let's get your hands open too, roll around in your wrists, draw your knees into your chest, and then put your right foot on the ground. Cross your left thigh over your right thigh, draw your knees into your chest. Maybe a little pulsing or circling or swaying, maybe some stillness. Try to make small decisions in your body, like, do I want to be still or move? Okay, so that when bigger decisions, you have a little bit of flex in that intuition muscle to help you along the way. All right, let's turn this into a reverse pigeon pose. Left foot on right knee, slide your hands behind your hamstring or the front of your shin. And let's go ahead and maybe movement feels good, maybe stillness feels good. Remember, everything I present as an option is just that, it's just an option. One of the greatest joys of doing yoga at home by yourself is that there's no expectation that you're following the person next to you, that you'd be disruptive if you stood up right now and started jumping around. You know, you get to do you. I'm just here as like a placeholder to make sure you're showing up for yourself. All right, let's release that one more time, stretching your limbs wide. Exhale, drawing your knees in, and let's roll to your side and come to your hands and your knees. As you find all fours, let's have a moment to, start to experience some cat-cows. Now we get to have our spine join the party of mobility. Okay, so arching and rounding and breathing, and try to make this pose live through your whole spine, not just one little aspect of your spine, but your whole spine. And feel free to move your shoulder blades around. Feel free to move your pelvis and your head around. Breathe deeply so your ribs get some mobility from the inside. And then any kind of movement that your spine wants to do. Maybe you're wagging your tail or moving your ribs or moving your head. Anything's possible. Doesn't it feel good to just live in your body? Make sure you're breathing. And then let's drop back to a child's pose. Walk the hands far out in front of you and notice sensation. Here you are in your breath and in your body. Opening up your shoulders, feeling a nice, good, deep compression in your hips. And then we're going to move through some, coming up on tall fours and then back to child's pose with some different movements in our pelvis. So come on to all fours, tuck your tail under, round your spine a little bit, drop back toward a child's pose. Notice what this shape feels like. And then back up, tip the tail toward the sky, arching the back to a child's pose. Notice what this position feels like, and just go back a few times, back and forth, moving with the rhythm of your breath. I like to exhale as I drop back and inhale as I come up. Maybe you do too, maybe your body likes something different. Just feeling the change of shape in your pelvis, in your spine, in your sacroiliac joints, in your hip joints. Even how different your breath may feel in one position versus the other. Just getting to know subtleties in your body. All right, and then back up on tall fours. And let's just have a yielding moment here. So yield into the right hand and the right knee, and then push off and yield into the left hand and the left knee. And find that rebound through your shoulder and elbow joints, through your hip joints, so that you're receiving the ground, and then, or the ground, I should say, is receiving you, and then we push off. Okay, so just close your eyes and sense into the rebound in your body, that yield, and then the push and the reach. Notice your breath. And then back to all fours, neutral spine, ground your hands really well, curl your toes under and lift to a dog pose. All right, let's take some time to pedal your feet here, dropping one heel and then the other. Again, every new sensation that lights up in your body, just be present for it. Because here we are, we're just right here and right now. Presence is the gift of embodiment. Embodiment means we are accounting for ourselves. We're here, right? So you can get to know all that intuitive knowledge of your body and mind. Come back down into a child's pose. Walk the hands far out in front of you. Feel that length. Okay? And then we'll take our arms one side. We'll do both, but just go to one side. Notice if you always go to the same side first, that's okay. Patterns are okay. Just pay attention to what your patterns are. Sometimes even our patterns can be kind of suppressed and in automatic pilot zone. And if we can bring them into the light, we notice a lot. Come back to the other side and feel that shoulder and rib cage open up. Bring yourself fully into your breath. Coming back up onto all fours, a little bit of a wiggle. And of course, if you need to be on your wrists instead of your hands, that's fine too. Let's find our twist. Reach one arm up in the air, exhale and take that arm underneath you. Twisting, threading the needle, find your breath. Relax your neck. Open up through your spine, through your ribs, through your shoulder. And then let's inhale, reach that arm back up in the air, hand comes down. We'll switch sides, arm up, exhale, drop your arm down. Inhale, reach that arm back up in the air. Hand down onto the ground. Let's find another dog pose. So as we reach up, can you feel that yielding again? Can you ground yourself? Maybe you want to kind of knead the floor or pedal, just kind of sense what's going to give me contact and an understanding of my relationship to the ground right now. Notice your breath. A full inhale, full exhale. And then walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana. A deep forward fold, bend your knees, let your spine waterfall, bobble your head, release anything that needs releasing here. Inhale for a halfway lift, gathering some length in your spine. And while we're here up on some blocks, let's pedal your feet again and just open up those hips one more time, drawing one hip back, drawing the other hip back. This is a different feeling, at least for me it is, than when I do this in dog pose. It's much more in my hip joints than it is just in my calves and hamstrings. So just pay attention to your hips going to and fro, offline from each other. All right, and then ground into some symmetry and feel that yielding one more time. Soften your head down, bend your knees as much as you want, and then drop your seat and lift your chest to come up to stand. Okay, standing in Tadasana for a moment. Breathing deeply. All right, inhale, reach the arms up to the sky, open up through your heart, maybe leaning back just a little bit. Let's cactus, open the arms, feel the heart expands, feel the back body engage. And then exhale, rounded, and feel the back body open up. Okay. Inhale, arms up to the sky again, and then a big swan dive forward, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melting to relax back down. Step back with your left leg, Right foot's in front for a lunge. Connect in with your grounding one more time. Feel the yield. And once you have that deeper connection with the ground, let's find our breath and start to do our fluid movement of straightening and bending the front knee. So much to pay attention to, right? We don't have to be absent. We can be paying attention to so much sensation, whether it's the breath or the feeling in our hips and legs, or the feeling of our feet on the ground, or just our changing shape. Maybe even the bowing of our head and the lifting of our head, or the softening of our heart. There's just so much to pay attention to. Ground yourself. Feel your yielding one more time. Find your lunge. Rising up, crescent lunge, opening up through the spine. Open up that back leg. Feel the heart lift and extend. A full inhale, a full exhale. And perhaps you'd rather have your arms down or out to the side. So always make the practice your own. Exhale and release your hands. Back foot comes forward, a forward fold. Let's spread out the bones of your feet. Inhale for a halfway lift again. Melting, folding. Step your right foot back. Now our left foot is in front. Finding that grounding energy of your lunge. Before you start to move, let's come into the sense of yielding into the earth. Our hands on blocks are yielding, feet on ground are yielding. When you feel ready, start to explore the movement. Moving with your breath again, being patient with your breath, trying not to trip over the exhales to start the next inhale. Try to wait for the full experience of both sides of the breath. Noticing what your body feels like. How's this side compared to the other? Lunge your legs, have a moment to yield into your lunge, and when you feel ready, rising up to a crescent lunge. Find that extension, press your front foot into the ground so you're nice and stable with your legs, using your glutes and your hamstrings. Feel that openness in your body, the extension of that back leg. Maybe you look up and kind of challenge your balance a little bit. All right, and then we'll release our hands down onto the ground. Step back to dog pose, feeling a full body extension. Yield and push and reach. The embodiment of breath. Let's come forward into a plank. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Feel your ground. So much strength here. Push the ground away. Big full breaths in and out. And we'll put our knees down onto the ground and find the earth. Roll the shoulders a few times here. Inhale for a cobra. Opening that front spine. Exhale, melting back down again, and take any variation that feels right in your body. Isn't it great to move your spine in all the directions that it goes? Come back up onto all fours, swish your spine around. We'll come to a dog pose. Find your breath here. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Walk your feet forward. Come to an Uttanasana. A halfway lift. Melt to fold. Let's take our feet, turn sideways on your mat, a wide-legged stance. Okay. So notice as we come into a deep squat here, wide legs, maybe elbows on top or inside knees, just getting those inner thighs to open up. Notice those hip joints.
kind of opening into their fullness of external rotation and abduction. All right, inhale, standing all the way back up, a standing star. We'll turn our right foot out and we're going to come into a Parsvakonasana. So elbow on your knee, stretch your arm overhead. And what's the first thing you notice when you do this pose? Is it your side body or your hip or your foot or your shoulder or your breath? Like what are you noticing? Feel the deep roots of your legs. Both legs are firmly rooting into the ground, finding the yield and some weight. Open up through your spine. See if you can, with that front leg, your right leg, externally rotating the femur bone so the knee is drawing, in line with the middle toes, not caving in. Press through your foot. Come on up, straighten your leg for a moment. Stretch through the side of your body. And let's come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. As your legs drop down into this posture, remember, you can be up high, you can be down low. Just find a comfortable, self-sustaining place. And when you do this pose, pay attention to your right foot. See if you can ground and yield, and then drag your toes toward the right and drag your heel toward the left. Nothing's going to actually move, but that engagement happens. Make sure you stay grounded and stable in your back leg. The hip bone is drawing back. Just feeling a lot of that work of stabilizing your legs in this position. Drop your shoulders. Feel your breath. Now keep your legs, reverse your warrior now, so you're opening up through your side body again. And then we'll come on up and lengthen into a triangle pose. This little trifecta of these 3 externally rotated standing poses. Such good postures for our body. Root down, rise through your spine. So we might have lost a little bit of the contact with our foot, our right foot. Can you re-find it? Maybe a little microbend in that right knee instead of hyperextending. Can you open your heart? Come back up. I'm going to turn our feet the other way. And you might find that as we go into these poses that you're more comfortable on one side, stronger on one side, more stable. So just pay attention to the patterns. Maybe it's not even whether I'm like quote unquote better at it on this side or not. Maybe it's just this feeling of I like this side better than the other side, or I like the other side better than this side. So as we find our way into Parsvakonasana, just pay attention. Is this home? Do you feel familiar and grounded? Or is it like, oh, this isn't my habituated pattern side as much? Like what's your body telling you? Ground yourself. Find those legs, spin that foot again. So left toes go out left, left heel goes right. Feel the roots of both your legs, opening up through your side bodies. Breathing so deeply and fully. And we'll come back up. Reverse your triangle, straighten your leg for a moment, give your thigh a little bit of a break. And then we'll come down into Virabhadrasana 2. And you might notice that you have something different going on this side versus the other. Like for me, this side, my knee is not as stable on this side as the other. So going low is a little challenging for me. How is it for you? What's different on this side versus the other side? Drop the shoulders, open across your heart. Stay grounded and rooted in both your legs. Spin the foot like we did in Parsvakonasana. Notice if your shoulders want to creep toward your ears, soften what you can. And groundedness in both your legs. Feeling the roots of that back leg, your thigh bones moving back. Stretching out through your hands. And then we'll reverse your warrior here, opening up through the side of the body. And then when you feel ready, you can straighten your leg and reach to triangle pose. Hand can come on your leg or on a block. It's a little bit different posture when our legs are straight, so notice where you are in space. Keep moving your tail away from your crown, turning your ribs, opening your heart, stretching hand to hand. Notice your left knee. Is it hypermobile? Does it need to have a little bit of engagement there? Are your feet both grounding well? We'll come all the way back up to stand. Heel toe your feet in, and then we'll turn to the front of our mat for a dog pose. And when your feet come back to that neutral hip width apart, notice the change. Have a moment to yield. Have a moment to breathe. Let's come forward into a plank. Stabilizing your body. Root the floor. We'll put our knees down onto the ground. Find the earth. Take your legs wide so your toes, big toes, touch the edges of your mat. And we'll just lift our legs up, feeling that energy of our hips and our legs. Toes are pointing toward the ground. We're going to do this twice. First with toes pointing toward ground. And then relax. Now turn your legs out so you feel like your inner kneecaps are resting on the ground and the feet are turned out. And when you're ready, lift from there and feel that external rotation in the hip joints. Breathing, stabilize your core. And then relax. Put your knees back to neutral. Pick up your feet and just rock your feet left to right. All right. Come to be on your right side. Lie down with your whole body. Arm is underneath your head. Okay, so you have some support. We're going to reach our left arm up in the air. Ground your whole right side. Press your right leg into the earth. Inhale and lift your left leg. Toes pointing forward. So we're not, it's balance for sure. There's a lot of balancing in and engagement through your core, your torso, your legs, your hips. But we're pretty rooted because we have the ground. So enjoy the nervous system's response to having the ground. Side waists are engaged. All right, and then relax and melt that back down. And we'll roll over to the other side so that we're now on our left. Arm is over underneath our head. We're on a straight line with our whole body. Lift your arms straight up in the air. Okay. And then we'll lift our leg as well. Toes pointing forward. Engage your core. Wrap your sideways. Hug them in. Lift from your outer hip. Find your breath. Keep internally rotating your leg a little bit so we're not externally rotating at this moment. Find the breath. Then relax. Roll onto your back and bring your knees into your chest.
and rock a little bit. Just swing side to side. Open up your hips, and then we'll come rolling onto our right side. We're going to do a modified Vasisthasana. So we're going to have our hand, right knee, left foot all lined up. But instead of having your right shin be perpendicular to your mat, turn it parallel to your mat. So now your right hand, your right knee, right foot, and left foot are all on one line. Okay, inhale, find that length. Notice the external rotation in your leg on your right leg, and press your shin into the ground. Open the breath. All right, and then we'll bring our body onto all fours. Feel free to move around any which way you want. And we'll come to this pose on the second side. So our left hand, our left knee, our left foot, our whole left shin, and our right foot all on one line. Okay, so we're externally rotating that left hip. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Open up through your heart. Press your feet into the ground. Press your whole left shin into the ground. Open up your breath. You can do lots of variations here. You can reach your arm overhead. You can lift your leg. Whoops, my couch is in the way. You can lift your leg in the air if you want. There's all sorts of variations to be done. All right. And then relax to come out of that pose. We're going to find our way however you like to come up to stand. I think everybody knows what's coming. We've done a lot of prep for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Okay. So as you get ready to do this pose, remember that we're in balance. So if you need a wall, if your balance isn't feeling so good today and you want to do this pose with your back against a wall or your foot on a wall, you can do that. Okay. My stance is short only because of the space that I'm in. Okay, so you can come wider like triangle pose legs. You can bend your right knee if you'd like to, but when we come into the pose, the right foot is grounding and pointing straight. Our right hip is externally rotated. Okay, so engage those muscles. Find your breath. We're gonna come on up. Use a block under your right hand. The right hand moving out to the pinky toe side of your foot on that block will give you a little more balance. And then go ahead and engage that leg in the air. Engage your side waist. The core is here for you. Tail long toward your foot in the air. Open up your heart like triangle pose. Big breaths here. Try not to let your leg fall. Lift from that hip. The standing leg is unlocked and externally rotated. When you come out of the pose, do your best to step back the way you came in instead of just falling. And if you fall, that's okay too. Okay. Between sides, let's just pause here for a moment so we have the sense of ground. Notice how nice it is to just have 2 feet on the ground. Let's unlock our knees and breathe into our body. And then we'll prepare for the second side. Now remember, your left foot, you want it pointing straight toward the short edge of your mat so that we're not internally rotating this leg. The standing leg is externally rotated in this pose. Have faith. And even if your balance is all over the map, that's okay. Again, we're just trying to be embodied. We're not trying to, win the gold medal of balance, right? So it doesn't matter. Try to lower the expectations and instead let your expectation to be, I'm just here. I'm just in my body. Climb up onto that foot. Remember, the block under your hand can be toward the pinky toe side of your foot or wider to give you a little extra support. The leg in the air is lifting strongly from the hip, from the core. Stretch through your heel. Open up that arm. Try to have some engagement in your side waist. Knit your ribs in a little bit. Unlock your standing knee. Externally rotate that hip. Open up through your breath. So much to pay attention to. Notice if your back is arching, knit your ribs in, tail long. And then we'll slowly come out the way we came in. And again, one more time, just finding your sense of Tadasana, mountain pose. A full inhale, a full exhale. Rising up, arms, exhale. Loading back down. And let your back open up. And let's step back, last dog pose, extending, yielding, finding your breath. Enjoy symmetry. Open up the backs of your legs, stretch those hamstrings and calves. And let's put our knees down onto the ground. Find our belly. Move your blocks out of the way if they're around. We'll bring our left knee up high toward your armpit. Look at your knee and just let that hip relax into this position. And then we're going to take our right arm, bring it underneath us, threading that needle, twist open. Big full breaths. Use a block to support underneath your knee. If you want to or need to, let your palm reach the ground, the back of your hand reach the ground. Full breaths. Enjoy the twist. Come sliding back to center. Let's come with the right knee lifting up toward your armpit. Look at your knee. Let your hip soften into this pose. And then we'll thread the left arm underneath, thread the needle, and then open up into the twist. Back of the right hand coming toward the ground or to the ground. Let your knee leave the floor, letting your spine twist. Big full breaths in and out. Let your head relax. And again, notice, how does this twist feel going in this direction versus the other? All right, we'll come back onto our back. Okay, so roll all the way to your back. Put your feet on the ground. Rest here for a moment. And then we'll do reverse pigeon pose again. Right foot on left knee. Reach to grab the behind your left thigh or the front of your left shin. Try to lengthen through the inner ankle. Let your head relax. If you feel your neck get tense, maybe put a blanket under your head. All right. Let's, whenever you're ready, switch sides. I know that I'm kind of rushing you through that, so take your time. Full breaths here. Shoulders soft, head, neck relaxed. relax your body. Okay, maybe a happy baby, maybe not. Maybe a rocking plow, maybe nothing at all. Okay, so just again, following your intuition for what your body needs for Shavasana. As you prepare, maybe you have support underneath your knees. You can always make a little bridge with your blocks. You can always use blankets, whatever you need. Maybe you're just flat on the ground. So whatever you're doing, our body is coming into a state of rest. Relax on the ground, soften your body. Head is heavy. Deepen our breathing. Start to allow some movement in your body. Taking your time. Eventually coming onto your side.
Actually finding your way upright to a comfortable seat. Celebrate the authentic self. When a yes means a yes and a no means a no. When we're in touch, when we're intuitive, when we can know and ask for what we need, we can offer ourselves freely, knowing boundaries, all these beautiful things. Let's be thankful for our practice and all that it offers us. We'll send the energy of our practice outwards so that we can support others with our energy as well. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.